I worked overnight shifts while my husband promised to work on his degree. One morning, I came home to find our bedroom smelling like cheap perfume and 2 champagne glasses on the dresser. He was in the shower, singing. When I pulled the curtain back, there they were, him and my supposed best friend. I smiled, closed the door, and pressed send on the mass email to his college professors, attaching every photo and message they ever sent me. Let me tell you something about working night shifts. It drains you in a way people don't understand. Your body hurts all the time. You eat at weird hours. Your brain gets foggy. And worst of all, you miss everything. Birthdays. Holidays. Just being able to sit on your own couch and relax. That's what I gave up so my husband, Marcus, could focus on school. He told me he wanted a better life. That he wanted to go back and get his business degree. Said it was time to grow up. I believed him. I was proud. We didn't have much, but I figured if he could get that degree, maybe things would get easier. So I told him I'd work full-time. I picked up every shift I could get. Nights at the hospital cleaning up messes no one else wanted to touch. Diner shifts flipping eggs for truckers and late-night drunks. On weekends, I scrubbed rich people's toilets in the suburbs. I was always tired. Always sore. But I did it. For us. While I was working myself to death, Marcus was studying. At first, he really did seem focused. He'd sit at the kitchen table, flipping through books, typing on his laptop. He told me about his professors, about the group projects. I asked questions. I wanted to be involved. Supportive. I even packed him little lunches when he went to the library. I was stupid. It started to feel off about a year in. He got defensive when I asked about classes. Said it stressed him out. His hours got weird. He'd be gone when I got home in the mornings. Study group, he'd say. I'm helping a classmate with their business plan. I didn't argue. I was too tired to argue. I thought, maybe this is just what it takes. Sacrifice now, comfort later. And then Janelle moved in. She was my best friend since 7th grade. We used to ride our bikes to the dollar store and split packs of sour punch straws. Life pulled us in different directions for a while. She had a rough breakup, lost her job, ended up sleeping in her sister's garage. When she called crying, I didn't hesitate. I told her to come stay with us. Just for a little while, I said. Until you get back on your feet. She hugged me like I saved her life. You're my sister, she said. The first week was fine. Then I started noticing things. She'd be home with Marcus a lot during the day. I'd come back from a double shift and find them laughing in the kitchen. She'd be wearing one of my shirts, no bra, no shame. One night I walked in and the two of them were on the couch, real close, whispering about some show they were watching. When they saw me, they jumped apart like they touched a hot stove. I asked Marcus about it. He rolled his eyes. You're being paranoid, he said. Janelle's like family. He said I was just exhausted from work. That my brain was messing with me. I wanted to believe him. I didn't want to be the jealous wife who couldn't trust her husband or best friend. But something didn't sit right. So I started looking. One night, I got home early. Marcus wasn't home yet. His laptop was on the coffee table. Something told me to open it. I shouldn't have, but I did. And there it was. He was still logged into his email. His messages. His social media. I clicked through and felt my stomach turn. There were messages to Janelle. Photos. Dirty texts. Things I never imagined my best friend saying. Things Marcus should never have said to anyone. And it wasn't just Janelle. There were other women, too. Strangers. Old flings. All while I was scrubbing floors at midnight and feeding him with tips from the diner. The worst part? The jokes they made about me. She's so tired all the time, she don't notice a thing, one message said. Another one, from Janelle, you could *CK me in her bed and she'd thank you for cleaning the sheets. I threw up. Literally. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Then I got cold. Real cold. I stopped crying. Stopped shaking. I started collecting everything. Screenshots. Photos. I downloaded everything. Messages between Marcus and Janelle. Messages with other women. I searched the college's website. Found his professors. Found the financial aid office. Found out that Marcus had dropped out almost a year ago. He wasn't going to class. He wasn't working on any degree. He'd taken out a student loan, with me as the co-signer, and blown it. On clothes. Bars. God knows what else. That night, I drafted the email. I attached everything. I addressed it to every contact I could find at the college. I saved it in my drafts and waited. Waited for the right moment. It came 3 weeks later. I'd just finished my night shift. Got home around 7 a.m. I walked in and smelled it right away, cheap perfume, like the kind you get at gas stations. Sweet and disgusting. I followed the smell to our bedroom. The bed was a mess. 2 glasses on the dresser. Champagne. One had lipstick on it. I heard laughing from the bathroom. Then singing. My blood ran cold. I walked to the bathroom and opened the door. Marcus was in the shower. So was Janelle. Naked. Touching. Singing some old R&B song like it was a damn romantic movie. They froze when they saw me. Janelle screamed and ducked. Marcus just stood there, dripping. I didn't say a word. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I smiled. Then I walked out, picked up my phone, and hit send. They had no idea what was coming. Marcus came out of the bathroom maybe 5 minutes later, wrapped in a towel, dripping water all over the floor. Janelle was behind him, holding her clothes against her chest like she was the victim in all this. Tara, it's not what it looks like, he said. I just looked at him. Calm. Quiet. My heart was pounding, but I didn't let it show. Really? I said. Because it looks exactly like what it looks like. Janelle tried to talk next. Please don't freak out. It was a mistake. We were just. Save it, I cut in. You two can lie to each other all you want. But I'm done pretending. Marcus's face changed then. He went from fake guilty to angry. Defensive. You've been distant, he snapped. You're never home, you're always working. What was I supposed to do? I laughed in his face. A hard, ugly laugh. What were you supposed to do? I repeated. How about not screw my best friend in our shower? He stepped toward me. You don't understand, I stepped back. No. I do understand. More than you think. I walked over to the table and grabbed my phone. Check your email, I said. You might want to see who else understands now. He froze. His eyes flicked to his phone. He grabbed it and started scrolling. At first, nothing. Then his face went white. You didn't. I did, I said. All of it. The messages. The photos. The lies. Your professors. The financial aid office. I even CC'd your old advisor. You know, the one you lied to about your sick wife when you asked for an extension. He looked like he was going to throw up. Janelle sat down on the couch and covered her face. You ruined my life, he whispered. No, I said. You did that. He stormed out. Slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Janelle tried to follow him, but then stopped and turned to me. Can I stay here tonight? I stared at her. For a long time. She looked scared. Pathetic. Like a child who got caught stealing candy. No, I said. Get out. She left with her shoes in her hands, still soaking wet. I watched her walk barefoot down the street. Then I sat down on the floor and cried until I couldn't anymore. The fallout started fast. By noon, I got a call from the university. They were conducting an internal investigation into Marcus's misuse of student loans and his forged documents. Apparently, he'd lied about being enrolled just to keep the loan money coming. Later that day, I checked our bank accounts. He'd cleaned out our joint savings, what little there was left. I should have seen that coming. I wasn't done, though. I called the loan company. Told them what he'd done. They didn't care about my sob story, but I still sent in all the proof. I started the long, painful process of removing my name from the loan. It wasn't easy. But I was relentless. I told my job I needed a few days off. I used the time to dig. I found out Marcus had been using my social security number for other credit cards. I filed reports. Froze my credit. Called a lawyer. And then, I went after Janelle. Not violently. Not with threats. Just the truth. I posted screenshots. Just enough to get the point across. Sent a few to her ex-boyfriend, the one she cheated on before she moved in with us. Turned out he was a lawyer. He reached out to me, said I might have a case for identity fraud and emotional distress. By the end of that week, Marcus had nowhere to stay. None of the other women he'd been texting wanted anything to do with him now that the truth was out. He showed up at my job one night, tried to talk to me. I'm sorry, he said. I messed up. I want to fix it. I didn't even let him finish. You don't come here again, I said. If you do, I'll call the cops. He didn't come back. But things weren't over yet. About a week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened, it was from a woman named Angela. She said she'd seen one of the screenshots I posted and needed to talk. Her voice was shaky, nervous. I called her back. Turns out, she was one of Marcus's other girlfriends. Yes, girlfriends. Not a random hookup. Not a fling. She thought she was in a real relationship with him. For 2 years. He told her he was single. Claimed he was a consultant who worked odd hours, which explained why they only met up once or twice a week. Said he had a place, but it was being renovated. So they always met at her apartment or hotels. Angela wasn't the only one. She connected me with 2 other women. A woman named Carly, who lived over in Bowling Green, and one named Denise, who worked at a logistics company in downtown Toledo. All of us compared stories. Same lies. Same timeline. He'd been living a full double life. Multiple double lives, really. Angela said something that stuck with me. She said, he studied people like tests. Found your weak spots and used them. That hit hard. Because it was true. We created a group chat. The 4 of us. The Ex-Wives Club, we called it, even though none of us were technically ex-wives. Just women he had drained, lied to, used. That's when Carly told me something I hadn't known. Marcus was trying to get a job at a local business incubator downtown. Said he was starting his own company. She sent me the email pitch he had written. It was full of lies. Fake degrees, fake references, fake awards. He even used my old job at the diner as some kind of management experience. Listed me as a former mentor. I saw red. I sent that incubator an anonymous package with the truth. Screenshots. His real records. A printed copy of the withdrawal notice from the college. And just for good measure, I included the photo of him and Janelle in the shower that had somehow ended up in my iCloud backup. A week later, I got an email from the incubator's director. Short and to the point, thank you for the information. Marcus will no longer be considered for any position or partnership. But then, something happened I hadn't expected. I started getting harassing messages. Blocked numbers. Fake social media accounts. Comments on my work Facebook page. Stuff like, "You're bitter. You ruined his life. Hope it was worth it." And then, someone slashed the tires on my car. I filed a police report. I couldn't prove it was Marcus, but who else would it be? He had no job, no money, no place to stay. Just rage. And nothing to lose. That's when I knew I needed to move differently. I stopped posting online. Tightened up all my accounts. I started carrying pepper spray. Changed the locks on my door. Let my boss know what was going on. He gave me permission to park in the employee garage and even offered to have security walk me out after late shifts. Then, one night, I came home to find an envelope taped to my front door. No name. Just the word whore written in Sharpie. I took it inside. Opened it. Inside was a photo of me and Marcus from 3 years ago, smiling at some family barbecue. But my face had been scratched out with a pen. Deep, ugly scratches. The kind someone does when they're not just mad, but obsessed. That was the moment I decided, I wasn't just going to defend myself anymore. I was going to end this. I knew Marcus wasn't going to stop. Not until he felt like he had the last word. And I wasn't about to let him get it. I started digging again, this time into his past, not just his present. I called an old co-worker of his from the warehouse, someone who'd left years ago after some drama. She told me Marcus got fired for borrowing money out of the register when he was on night shift. Said he blamed her for reporting him and even tried to get her fired in return. I called his cousin, someone I hadn't talked to in years. She said Marcus used to pull this same crap in high school, charming girls, getting what he wanted, then ghosting or turning them against each other. It was a pattern. Always had been. But now, he was slipping. Desperate. Getting sloppy. Angela messaged me one day and said Marcus had reached out. Said he wanted to apologize and meet in person. She played along. Got him to admit, over text, that he'd messed with my credit on purpose. Said he needed the cards just to stay afloat. I got screenshots. That was the last piece I needed. I went to my lawyer with everything. The messages. The fake accounts. The tire slashing report. The envelope. And now, written proof that he'd committed fraud and admitted to it. We filed a restraining order and opened a civil suit. I didn't just want him gone, I wanted him ruined. I wanted every lie to follow him the way his smell used to follow me around the house. When he was served the papers, he showed up at my job. He stood outside the diner, shouting. I saw him through the window, red in the face, spitting words I couldn't hear through the glass. I made you, he yelled when I finally walked outside with the cops behind me. You were nothing without me. I looked him dead in the eye and said, you're right. I was nothing. Because I wasted 10 years on you. He lunged. Cops grabbed him before he could even get close. That was the last time I saw him in person. Court dragged out for months. But in the end, I won. Marcus was held liable for the fraud. The judge ruled in my favor for damages to my credit and emotional distress. It wasn't some huge payout, but it was enough to help me start over. More important than the money, it was in writing. It was official. He was guilty. He tried to appeal. Lost again. He moved out of state soon after. Last I heard, he was living in someone's basement, working under the table at a pawn shop. Janelle? She moved back in with her sister. Her ex filed a lawsuit of his own for some money she'd stolen from him. Karma didn't miss her either. Me? I moved to a smaller place. Got a dog. Cut my hours down to one job. It wasn't easy. I had to rebuild from the ground up. But it was mine. My life. My peace. And sometimes, late at night, when I think about that morning in the bathroom, I don't feel pain anymore. I just feel proud of the woman who smiled, walked away, and pressed send. About 6 months after everything settled down, I got a call from a number with a New York area code. I almost didn't answer, thinking it was spam. But something told me to pick up. It was a woman named Chloe. She worked for a documentary series that focused on stories of relationship fraud and financial manipulation. She'd seen some of the screenshots that had gone semi-viral after Angela shared parts of our story on a private forum. They wanted to do an episode on what they called domestic betrayal with financial abuse. I almost hung up. I didn't want the attention. I didn't want to dig everything back up again. But she spoke calmly, respectfully. She said, "You don't have to be the victim in this. You can be the one who shows others how to fight back." That stuck with me. A month later, I flew to New York, first time I'd been on a plane in years. They paid for everything. I sat down in a quiet studio and told my story from beginning to end. No glamour, no makeup team, no fake background music. Just the truth. Raw and ugly. When the episode aired, my phone lit up for days. Messages from women and men who had been in the same kind of trap. Some cried in their messages. Some just said thank you. One woman wrote, "Your story made me pack a bag and leave tonight." Another said, "I thought I was crazy. Now I know I was just lied to." That was the real revenge. Not just ruining Marcus, but turning what he did to me into something that helped other people see the signs sooner. Maybe even escape before it went as far as it did for me. Marcus tried to sue the show for defamation. It didn't go anywhere. The production company's lawyers were 10 times the size of whatever he could afford. The truth was on my side, and I had the receipts to prove it. Last I heard, he's still in that small town in Indiana. Still blaming everyone but himself. Still stuck. And me? I got promoted. I help manage the night shift crew now, only 2 nights a week. The rest of the time, I work with a nonprofit that helps women get out of abusive financial situations. I share my story when I'm asked. I give people the tools I didn't have. I don't pretend I was perfect. I stayed too long. I ignored the signs. I wanted to believe in something that wasn't real because the truth would have broken me at the time. But I'm not broken anymore. Marcus thought he could ruin me quietly, in private. Instead, I exposed him loudly, and publicly. And I made damn sure the last word, the final word, was mine.